Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. Once again, I want to use this opportunity to welcome one and all to the Lennie Robbins YouTube channel, Know Your Politics. We're just here trying to create a better understanding of what is happening politically in Jamaica. One of the ways we do that, as I always emphasize, is that we must also watch what politicians do. And I'm also included the fact that we should now start practice, stop, look, listen, and learn. It's important. It's important to really get an understanding of what our politics is happening. I want to jump right into something that I read in the Gleaner a couple of mornings ago about the director from the Western Regional Hospital here, St. Andrew Sinclair, the director. And he made some announcement pre the arrival of a hurricane in Jamaica when it was announced that the hurricane was on its way to Jamaica. That's Hurricane Beryl. And he gave some statistic which is very alarming, because I remember a couple of months before that the US had issued a warning about the health situation in Jamaica and the crime situation in Jamaica, and it's a warning to travelers and people who are traveling to Jamaica. The very Minister of Health came out to refute what the US said. But now the director from the Western Regional Hospital here, our Hospital Association, comes out to actually give credibility to what the US was saying. You understand? And as we all know, for years now in Jamaica, bed space has been a problem. One of the first things Mr. Sinclair mentioned is that bed space right across the island of Jamaica on average, it is at a high occupancy level. In some cases, some hospitals overflow, they're overburdened with the amount of people because they have more patients than their bed space, especially Cornwall Regional and Cornwall Regional. Well, I'll just address this thing in terms of Mr. Sinclair's Western Regional here. The Cornwall Regional is really one of the hospitals, Cornwall Regional and Savannah Lamar Hospital, are both hospitals that are always having more patients than beds that the hospital carry. He mentioned 4 hospitals that come under the Western Regional here. The Noel Homes, which he says the Noel Homes Hospital is a 60-bed hospital with an average capacity of 45. Average occupancy rate of 45 beds, which represents 75% of their capacity. So more or less on average they have 25% capacity unused. Falmouth, he also mentioned that Falmouth is a 135-bed hospital and they have a normal usage of 80 beds. It's an average 80 beds. So roughly about 40% of the beds are not used. Roughly 40% are not used. We now go on to the Falmouth Hospital. The Falmouth Hospital, I just mentioned that. Savannah Lamar Hospital is a 180 bed hospital. But I'm always have a need for 200 patients, which is always overcrowded. And I know for any given institution, such as a medical institution, that's an unimaginable situation. And it's not a imaginable situation for them. Cornwall Regional is the same. It's supposed to be a 400 beds, and 400 beds is a lot. But to have more patients admitted in the hospital, more than the amount of beds you have, is just total chaos, and you're caught in disaster. And it's a very dangerous practice to any hospital, any medical institution to practice. I read those statistics because I really want to highlight what the crust of Mr. Sinclair's announcement pre the arrival of the Hurricane Beryl to Jamaica. And you know the hospital was preparing right across the island the onslaught of whatever damage it may bring. He mentioned that they're in the process of discharging patients from his area. And I take it into consideration he's referring to the 4 hospitals that he manages: Noel Holmes, Savannah Lamar, Falmouth, and Colwyn Regional in Montego Bay. Now, the discharging of these patients was based upon 2 things, as Mr. Sinclair points out. 1, people who can self-help themselves. They're discharging those people, send them home. 2, people who just need change of bandages. That's something their family, he said their family should be able to assist them with at home. Now, the question I asked Mr. Sinclair, if this is so, and you can send home these persons in the time of emergency where a storm is on its way to Jamaica, why were they still in the hospital in the first place? Couldn't you have discharged those persons, those patients, the very minute they got to that condition where they can self-help themselves, and changing of bandage is something their family could do along with them? So you're actually telling us that if the storm wasn't on its way, these people would still be in the hospital. You wouldn't be discharging them. Now, it's pretty obvious that what you said really lends credibility to the warning the U.S. put out about Jamaica medical condition months ago. And knowing well that we Jamaicans are aware that beds in hospital are very scarce. Sometimes people have to wait 2-3 days, or ill, can't go home, but they have to admit it and have to wait 2-3 days for a bed. And that is no rumor. That is not a rumor. That is not a figment of anyone's imagination. That's the reality on the ground in Jamaica. Remember when the U.S. came out and made a speech, Mr. Sinclair? The government, the Ministry of Health came out and refuted what the U.S. government was actually warning about. But now you have alluded to the fact, and this is just one aspect of our medical situation. This is just one aspect of our medical care. Having enough beds to accommodate the amount of patients that we have that are really sick and need in-service care. Not out-service care, in-service care. And with this kind of unimaginable situation that cannot be managed effectively, let me put it that way. With that kind of situation that cannot be managed effectively because we don't have enough staff, we don't have enough people to go around, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough what we need to have to give the qualitative medical care that these people should get, or that we should be giving people. The U.S. warning was really on target. The U.S. warning was correct. And I do believe it is still correct. And with you negating what the ministry said, because just in your region, it is what it is. And we know KPH and Spanish Town Hospital and other places are suffering the same shit. We know that. So we understand that. But let me confine it to the Western regional area. And you have given us the numbers to justify you discharging people. And I understand that from one standpoint, sir, from one basic issue here. That during the storm you will not have enough nurses or doctors, and you might not have enough nurses and doctors and staff, should there be real emergency, to cover everyone who may turn up for service. You may not have that. And with the roads down and electricity down, it might be difficult for people to leave their home to get to the hospital and to come in to help and assist. I understand all of that. But what I don't understand is how can you be sending home these people only because of the hurricane when you know most hospitals is having capacity problem, and those people could go home from some time ago to get self-help, to administer their own self-help care, and to get family to help them change their bandages. Another thing you mentioned that really jumps out, again, Mr. Sinclair, is that you have people living in the hospital. I notice you didn't elaborate what you mean by living in the hospital. Do you mean they live on the compound, they live on the wards, they're in beds, they're occupying beds that and has to be fed and paid for? And the reason you gave that you have about 60 in your entire region, I don't know if the 60 was in one hospital, 2 or 3, or the entire 4 hospitals that you're in charge of. I don't know what the 60 persons represent or ex-patients represent. But you say you have 60 persons living in that area right now, in hospitals, that you guys have to be caring for and paying for their care. And how is that when measured against people who come to the hospital and can't get the care they should be getting? Now, if you knew that, what recommendation has been made to the Ministry of Health? What is the Ministry of Health doing about this? What plans do you guys have afoot to rectify the situation ASAP? Because this is not something that can continue. We know bed space are scarce throughout the hospital situation in Jamaica, right across the island. And why should taxpayers be paying for people who are in the hospital who live there? And you know that. Why should we be paying for that without the ministry doing something, announcing some plans to rectify that situation? Now, the reason you gave for that says either these people refuse to go home, or they cannot go home, or because family members refuse to pick them up or fail to come and get them. Now, I know that's a simple situation, so this is not a rocket science problem we're solving here. With law enforcement and the social service coupled together, government can put together reasonable and corrective issues and solutions to have this, to address the situation immediately. That is nothing big to solve. This is not a big problem to solve. It is not a big problem. It is no doubt, sir, that I'm very happy to use my platform to appeal to Jamaicans. Now listen, we have to now watch what politicians, take note of what politicians are doing. Because healthcare is one of the cornerstones, is one of the pillars of a healthy nation. Healthcare is one of the pillars of health, of a healthy nation. And when a government fails to provide the qualitative healthcare service that the nation deserves and should be getting, what is that government telling us? How can we as citizens sit back, relax, and accept what happens? I remember I went to Spanish Town Hospital one day. And you see people sitting there telling some people are there from last night, 3 o'clock, from last night, 1 o'clock in the morning. They came. 11 o'clock the next day, they're still sitting on a bench waiting to be seen. You understand? Waiting even to so much of their pressure weigh them and all of these things. They don't even see the first step of service yet. They have not seen the first step of accessing medical service. And this is not a Spanish Town Hospital thing. This is a medical problem right across the island. Any hospital you walk into, people complain about the same thing. The same thing. And I'm glad you made that speech, Mr. Sinclair, St. Andrew Sinclair, because you really highlighted the crap the Minister of Health was telling us about by refuting what the US was saying about how healthy Jamaica health situation is. Ladies and gentlemen of all walks of life in Jamaica, we are the voters, we are the people who suffer, not the government, not the politicians. We have to wake up and recognize what is happening. Health service is one of the cornerstone pillars of a healthy nation. When that fails, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter what kind of job you have, it doesn't matter how educated you are. When that fails or that is failing, we all fail. All the politicians that we're looking at can fly out to Miami and get good treatment, or to the US, wherever they want to go. Where can we go as people? Where can we go? In a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this because it's important to throw down the gauntlet to challenge government and what they say, and politicians what they say and what they don't do, what they do also. We have to wake up. Because government, all they talk about transparency, all they're talking about accountability, all they're talking about responsibility, all the talks about trust, public trust in government and in governance, all that is bullcrap. Bullcrap. In this case, Mr. Sinclair was honest to read out some facts to us so we can read between the lines and realize that our health care is in a dilapidated condition. We're fighting for existence as it is right now. And I'm glad he came out and expounded on the facts of the situation. Because only when government finds their back against the wall, or when they don't know the extent of whatever damage, when they don't know the extent of what is going to hit them, how turbulent it will be, how great they will suffer, the politicians, their image and their everything is going to suffer. That's only when they'll make an attempt to be transparent with us as people. That's only when they'll try to make an effort to tell us the facts, to be honest about things. And I think you've been honest here, Mr. Sinclair, and I want to call you out on that too. Give you a shout out on that honesty, those statistics you gave in terms of the 4 hospitals that you have concerned about. You're responsible for, I should say. Absolutely. You're right. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to use this opportunity once again to say to you all, welcome to the Lennie Robbins Show. Know your politics, creating a better understanding. It is time that we watch what they do. I never stop saying this until it becomes a part of the political culture in Jamaica. I'll never stop emphasizing this. I'm begging my people to pay more attention to the politics. Give it more focus. Because that's what determines where we go tomorrow, the world we leave, the country we're going to leave for our children and our grandchildren. That's what's going to determine all of that. We have to put politicians to the sword. We have to throw down the gauntlet to them and let them know the time has come for them to be honest with us. Basic honesty we're asking you for. Basic honesty. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again, Lennie Robbins YouTube channel. Know your politics, creating a better understanding. Watch what they do.